These tariffs are just getting out of control. And in this video, we're going to talk about all of this stuff because I've been looking online and there's been so much talk about car prices going to go up 20-30%, and we're going to be so poor because we're going to have all of these crazy tariffs. Everything's going to go up through the moon. And I actually watched the news today and they said they had this from local Las Vegas. They had this person on who was a garage owner, and he was like, it's going to cost him 25% more if these tariffs are going to take into effect. And if you need to get something done, do it now. So most people in the export and import business know this. And a lot of normal Americans they don't know how the export business works. And so I got somebody to explain it. And we're going to watch that video first. So let's see how it works.
It is absolutely shocking to me the number of finance creators that doesn't know how customs fees are paid and how a tariff works. Donald Trump today announced sweeping tariffs on all U.S. imports and additional tariffs on imports from certain countries. Countries like China, Cambodia, Vietnam, you will see a significant increase on all products that are manufactured in those countries. However, the tariff is not applied to the sales price. It is applied to the cost of good. So let's say, for example, you have a car that sells for $100 and it costs $50 to manufacture. So let's say your tariff is 20%. Your new price that you're going to pay is not $120. You're not taking $100, which is the sales price, times the tariff rate, which is 20%. You're taking the cost of good, which is $50, and multiplying it by the tariff rate. The new price that you're going to pay is $110 because you're taking 20% the tariff rate and multiplying it by the cost of good, $50, which equals $10 additional cost that you have to pay to the government. So in this example, a 20% tariff equals a 10% increase in the price of the product. Please unfollow any finance creator that takes the new tariff rate and multiplies it.
So that's the first thing. And when I hear these shop owners and I hear all these other people like, we're going to charge 20% more for all these other things, that's just them trying to price gouge you. Because when you're looking at it and they say, oh, we're going to repair a water pump of your Suburban or whatever it is. That water pump might be $200, $300 that they're going to get from AutoZone or their distributor. And their distributor has to probably get it from Mexico, China, or wherever they get it from. And when your auto shop buys it, those people buy it from the supplier, right? And their supplier has the cost of goods. So that's going to be way, way less. So you're going to see a small little delta in there where that's going to be applied, right? And what the shop owner that I saw in the local news wants to do is say, let's say he's going to charge you $600-700 to replace that pump. So instead of actually then saying, it's going to be $600, $700, or $800, whatever, they're going to say, we're just going to apply a 20% tariff over everything. That means labor, everything, right? And that is not what these tariffs are about. And when I look at it, and here's the tariff map or whatever you want to call it, the tariff chart, where you see what countries have an insane amount of tariff on them. And for some of it, it's kind of unfair because when you're looking at the United States, and this is kind of like my take on it, if you're looking at the United States, we're about 333 million people or something like that. And if you're looking at countries like Cambodia, Switzerland, Thailand, those are smaller countries. Australia has like 26 people. Switzerland has like 8 million people. And so with 8 million people, you cannot compete against the United States. Australia with 26 million people cannot compete against 300 plus million people. The same for Thailand and most of these other countries. There's only a few countries that can actually compete against the United States with population size, like India, China, and some other countries that can actually compete with manufacturing and doing all kinds of stuff. And when you're looking at it, it's like 8 million people need to do something to protect themselves from just being plateaued by bigger countries. So that's why they got tariffs in place, because when they say, hey, we need to protect our own industry, and when they import, let's say chickens or whatever they want to import, or import from the United States, it literally would kill the whole industry because we're only 8 million people, right? And we're going to watch another video explaining what happened to garlic in the United States with China.
In February 2025, Trump imposed a 10% tariff on Chinese imports, including food. In March, he increased it to 20%. China retaliated with 10 to 15% tariffs on many U.S. goods.
The biggest retaliation so far, sparking a trade war.
China supplies roughly 80% of the world's garlic, and the U.S. is one of its biggest customers. U.S. garlic producers like Christopher Ranch have accused China of undercutting the American garlic market.
The U.S. started to import cheap garlic from China shortly after the Cold War, but Chinese bulbs sold for almost 50% less than American ones. The U.S. government accused Chinese producers of trying to gain a monopoly by selling garlic for less than what it takes to grow it, also known as dumping. By the mid-90s, Christopher Ranch sales had fallen by half, and the company started laying off workers. The U.S. government tried to control it with anti-dumping duties in 1994. But Chinese imports continued, and by 2004, the U.S. was importing over half of the garlic it consumed. Between 2001 and 2005, Christopher Ranch had slashed the land it farmed by 40%. And during this period, the U.S. garlic industry was losing an estimated $600 million to Chinese imports. Meanwhile, in China, garlic was beating gold stocks, becoming the country's most lucrative asset.
So in the scenario of garlic, you then need to come in and say, you know what we're going to do? We are going to have to put 100% tariff on that garlic. So if in the US they're selling it for $4 and China was going to sell it for $2 at the store, you got to put 100% tariff on it. So then it's equal, right? Then it's actually like, hey, you're going to pay at the store, and then it's up to the customer what are you going to buy? Are you going to buy Chinese or American? And those $2 goes into funds and goes into taxes and goes into all these other places where it's like, hey, American consumers can now decide what they want to purchase and where they want to spend their money. If they want to give it to China or whatever country it is, or keep it inside the United States and and help their economy out, right? And so people have been so mad and so pissed about this whole situation, have been going all about it and being like, oh my gosh, this is going to be ruining so many jobs, going to be doing so many different, all across the globe, right? We're going to be like, oh, we're going to get into global recessions. And that's the thing when you have government subsidizing, giving grants to people or companies like China does to the garlic industry, and then building monopolies, right? And one of the things is, I saw the news this morning in Europe was talking about, oh, we don't export American cars and we import a lot of Volkswagen and BMWs, Mercedes, we import those, right? And then the problem with that is people have been saying, oh, we need to export American cars. The problem is not even Americans want to really drive American cars. That's why they buy Toyotas. That's why they buy Hyundais, Kias, and all these other ones. And now we're like, okay, so you want to deliver these Chevrolets and these Fords that are super unreliable, and you want to bring them into Europe. And one of these huge problems with these car companies is that they don't understand the market. They don't understand that an F-150 truck or a Ram truck cannot fit into the congestion of Europe. It just doesn't work. The roads are small, their cars are super tiny, and if they are bigger and wider, they're more compact, they have more tech in it, they have all these kind of other things. And then when you bring a F-150 or a King Ranch, something crazy over there, it would take up 2 parking spots. You couldn't even maneuver it in these parking garages that are 3 stories high. You can't maneuver. And so if you want to have Chevrolet or GM compete in a Europe market, you need to make cars for Europeans. And Europeans do not want the same cars as Americans do. Americans want big, loud, wide, roomy, spacious SUVs. Europeans want small, nimble, agile, fuel efficient, and that they can drive in the cities. And that's why France has cities like this where they bump each other. It's a picture right here where they're so small. The cars are just tiny because they can't have bigger trucks because the street sizes and all this other stuff. That's why they make special brands for just Europe, right? And then they're like, oh, we want to sell American-made cars or Fords, and we have smaller ones. Yeah, then that's why they're selling it, right? And so you gotta, as a as a business leader, if you're working for General Motors, you got an opportunity to say, we are actually gonna start producing cars in Europe that European people want, and not just make American cars for the Europe market, right? You got to look at what, hey, this is Europe, this is Switzerland, this is Italy, and these are the cars that they want. Because I think in Italy, #1 cars, like right here, check that out. Nobody would buy that in the United States, but in Italy, and that's what they do, and they love it, and it's good fuel economy and everything else. Because here in the United States, we are still having cheap gasoline. In Europe, gasoline's expensive. So we got to be worrying about all these factors when we produce. That's why American engineers cannot design Europeans' cars, because they do not know what Europeans want. They need to do market studies and do all kinds of things and see, hey, this works in Europe. Hey, this works in China. Look at BYD. I think they just announced like the biggest factory ever, and they're making cars that are techy, that are roomy, that are spacey, that are small too. You can get them in all kinds of sizes, and they're affordable. Look at these Cadillacs now. They're like, I saw one the other day online. It was like $140,000. I don't think that anybody in Europe would spend $140,000 on a Cadillac, right? Then they're in a whole another market when you have BYD offering real nice cars for a fraction of the price. So let me know in the comments below what you think about all this. But yeah, it's always being cooked hotter than it's being eaten, right? So when you're looking at this, I don't think you should really worry. And I'm interested to hear one person that watches my channel all the time. He owns a tire store, and I'm interested to hear how you're going to price it. And if you do respond to this video and you're watching it, let me know below in the comments, and I pin it so other people can hear it, not only from me, from other people, because there's going to be a mixed equation where some of the tariffs the business owner's going to eat, some of them the supplier's going to eat, some of these tariffs the manufacturer's going to eat. And because if you're going to just tack on 20%, then it's going to be really hard on you and selling anything. And you don't, as a business owner, you never want to be just moving everything to the consumer, because your competitors are going to go agile, and they're going to go figure out how they can outmaneuver you, how they can do you, and how they can drive you out of business. And so that's what Ford did. They said, we're going to offer employee pricing. And they said, hey, we're going to, instead of going up with the price, we're going down with the price. So what does that do? That creates pressure across all these other brands that we're already like ready to say, hey, we're gonna go and we're gonna get these COVID prices back, where it's like, if you don't want it, somebody else will, and we're not gonna negotiate. It's gonna be over asking price, and if you want it, just take it, and if not, then we're gonna sell it to somebody else. No. One player, it always takes just one player saying, you know what, we're gonna go against the grain, and we're gonna say we're gonna lower our prices. We're gonna take this opportunity to grab market share. And that's what I would have done if I was Ford too. I would have said, you know what, let's discount them. Let's get our cars on the road. Let's give them the discounts and do it all that. And we will make it up with service or whatever. But what we need to do is get our cars out. And I feel like a lot of these dealerships nowadays just have forgotten that, hey, you're in the business of selling cars. So go sell cars and stop hoarding 2023s and 2024s on your lot, and just get them out. Just sell them. You got to sell them at a loss or give them back to the manufacturer, because it's just not feasible. You gotta stay competitive. And I bet you that in every industry, is it whatever you're importing, there's going to be that one player that's going to take Ford's model and say, you know what, this is the time we've been waiting for to just grab up insane amount of market share, and we've been waiting for this. Now is our time to shine, and rightfully so. And this is what it's all about, right? Take the opportunity when they come up. So this was it for this video. I was out. I took some time off, had to regather my thoughts, and took some time to just hang out with family, with Ali. And yeah, so I'm back. It was also cold the last 4 days. It was raining. You can still see the clouds, the rain clouds over here. So yeah, it was good. Had some time. And now we're back, baby. There was a lot of stuff I got to catch up on. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for another amazing video.